Mullinger's Weekly Ramble.
Hello, my friends. It is Wednesday, the 1st of May, and it is time, as you know, for Mullinger's Weekly Ramble. And I can safely say it is a joy and an honour to be in your ears right now. Thank you all so much for all the lovely questions you've sent. Thank you to everyone who came out to all the shows in the past week. Warm-up shows at Long Bay Brewery last week, and then my big Imperial Theatre tour date on Saturday night with special guest Ethan Ash, and the big surprise special guests, the Saint John Youth Orchestra, a 64-piece orchestra, joined me on stage for the big finale. This was the surprise that I've been dreaming of, and then working on, and then rehearsing, and then planning for months and months, and it all came to fruition. The moment went off without a hitch. For those of you that weren't there, I had this idea that I wanted to end the show with my big I Want to Be a New Brunswicker routine, and lots of new entries in that list, lots of new gags, and then at a certain point the song Pomp and Circumstance would start playing, the one they play in kind of graduation ceremonies, and it's very grand, based on that classic I Am Canadian Molson ad. And the music started playing, the audience laugh at the kind of the absurdity of this song playing, and then boom, the screen goes up, the curtain drops, and they discover that the music they are hearing is being performed live by a 64-piece orchestra who have snuck on stage behind me. It was just the most magical end to a 2-hour show. I mean, my shows at the Imperial Theatre are always the highlight of my year. The energy in there, the audience just packed full of fellow St. Johners, but also I met so many people that had travelled from all over for the show. Lots of people that had driven from Charlotte County, from Miramichi. Lots of people I met had driven from Halifax. And for me, it's all about wanting to every year, or indeed with every show, elevate it, give people a reason, to keep coming back. Essentially, I take it the art form, and I take all of this so seriously. I never stop appreciating the kindness and generosity of people for coming out, but also, I know how hard it is to get out. I work all the time, and it takes a lot for me to, especially when the kids are younger, and you need to get babysitters, and life's not cheap. So when people come out to a show, I want to give them an experience. And so for this Imperial Theatre show, it was like, okay, we have to come up with something mega and amazing. And then after that routine finished, we then brought, for the encore, we brought Ethan Ash back on stage, and we all performed the New Brunswick song with the orchestra. And again, shout out to Rachel Kidd, who very kindly took our New Brunswick song and turned it into sheet music a few months back. I mean, literally, I've been planning this for months and months. And thanks to Ken McLeod of Sistema, who looped me in with Cesar Suarez and John Fisher to do this, and we've been in multiple rehearsals week after week, and I just couldn't believe it. I mean, and again, the New Brunswick song itself was a song that Ethan and I wrote for the big finale of the Imperial Theatre show 2 years ago. So unveiling that kind of comedic song then, and then of course unveiling the video last year, and then this year being able to perform it with an orchestra it's just beyond comprehension. It was just so nice to finally do this and finally get to do it. Anyway, I'm going out very shortly to go and meet up with Ethan Ash. He is going to be joining us on this very podcast. I just thought I would jump on here now to say hi. Thanks to everyone that came out to the show. Thank you to Scott and everyone at the Imperial Theatre for just working around the clock to make this ridiculous high concept dream come true. Happy first day anniversary to Jen and Dwayne, who were sat in the front row once again at the Imperial show. Their first date back in 2016 was to see me live. Their second date was to see me, and over the years it's become their anniversary tradition. I actually helped with Dwayne's proposal to Jen at Tandy Restaurant in Saint John. You can watch that footage online indeed on Global News, when I turned up at their anniversary dinner And we'd all planned this out, that I was going to turn up and start roasting Dwayne for not proposing, and then he gets down on one knee and proposes to Jen. It was beautiful. And then I went to their wedding a couple of years ago. So every year they make an effort to come to the shows around this time. I had amazing Evelyn McNulty and Lily McNulty and some of their team at Romero House. We're in one of the royal boxes. A joy to see them, two of my favorite people in the universe. And I'm currently sat at my desk actually looking up at a beautiful painting that Lily McNulty kindly did for me, which is of me as a cat holding a microphone. It's absolutely beautiful and inspires me every day. Also, who else was there? Ashley Vickers was in one of the other royal boxes. Ashley and I met, it was during COVID, and she was in the Make-A-Wish Foundation program. And her wish was to go to England, and of course we were in lockdown. So the wonderful people, and Kristin at Make-A-Wish, arranged to bring England to Ashley in Market Square in Saint John, and it was the most amazing thing. I think Ashley was possibly around 18 at the time. This was in 2001, and we set up this huge surprise where it was this in an empty shop. We basically turned. Well, it was where Envy used to be, and we created this kind of incredible London shopping experience in there. But they Make-A-Wish created that. Myself and my son Hunter turned up, and I was dressed as James Bond. He was dressed as Harry Potter, and we were there, hosts and performers, or and for the day. And that's how Ashley and I met. So I invited her to my show at the Imperial as soon as lockdown ended 2 years ago, and then it was lovely to have her back there this year. Who else did I see? Oh, Hannah and Brianna I saw, who Hannah and Brianna had come to see me about 10 years ago, literally in like 2014. And hadn't been back since. And they came, and so we recreated a photo. They were like basically children then, and now now they're grown women with families and kids and blah blah blah. And it was really, really lovely to amazing how fast 10 years goes. Amazing how fast bloody 20 years goes. I did an interview this morning with the amazing Mark Robbins at Halifax Presents about my I'm in my Halifax tour dates this weekend. I'm at Halifax Yuck Yucks this weekend. Saturday night is already sold out, which is delightful. And there's a few left for Friday, but that's very close to selling out too. So can't wait to hit Halifax. I'm heading there on the bus tomorrow because I'm living the dream. Yeah, and not the tour bus, no, the bus. That's how it rolls. Showbiz. So I can't wait to hit Halifax. But anyway. I'll be chatting with Ethan about how the whole Saint John Orchestra reveal came together. I'll be learning from Ethan what he loves about New Brunswick, what he doesn't like about New Brunswick, what he likes about England, what he doesn't like about England. I've got lots of questions from you guys. So I'm going to go and meet with him. Got wonderful questions from David Kirkpatrick, Shelby Lowry, all kinds of questions. The wonderful Sean and Jennifer Mooney wrote to ask if I'd watched Baby Reindeer and whether the stand-up scenes resonated with me. Thank you for that wonderful question, Sean. I did discuss Baby Reindeer a couple of weeks ago on the podcast very briefly, and I also discussed it earlier this week on Monday morning on the CBC's Commotion. And we were discussing various elements, but I will. This is a different question. The stand-up scene is completely resonating. I mean, all the gigs that he played in that Donnie, the character of Donnie, plays in Baby Reindeer, real life Richard Gadd. Those gigs are all based on gigs that I did back then. So there's one in there called, I don't know, Funny Pony or something, which is clearly based on The Laughing Horse, which is a gig. So all those terrible gigs that he does, and the bombings night after night. And I keep being asked, as I'm doing interviews about this tour, people keep asking you, did you ever think about giving up? And it's like, well, yeah, all the time. I mean, when you've been booed off stage fifth night in a row and you're burning through cash, just traveling around performing, and nothing about the universe seems to want you to continue, you do think all the time like about quitting, and then suddenly you just had that one gig where that goes well and you get a few laughs and you get that wonderful feeling, that dopamine rush, and then you think, oh, I should keep doing this. And it's interesting now looking back and it's having experiences like Saturday night at the Imperial Theatre where you've got 850 people in there, just this incredible energy, and you never know how it's going to go, but those shows are just always fun. I always, of course, work really hard to get the right set. I mean, even on the Thursday night warm-up show, I still didn't know exactly what I was going to do. And until Saturday night, I hadn't done all that material in that precise order. So I had my set list. And when it got to the time, i.e. I'd been on stage for 90 minutes and it was time to have the orchestra reveal, I was only just about halfway through my prepared set. So what I'm trying to say is I could have done another hour and a half, which is great news. Obviously, it means I'm ready for next year now. I could literally have done another hour and a half of material that I had prepared. And part of that is, of course, in those big rooms, the laughs are very long. So what a laugh that might last 10 seconds in, say, Long Bay with 45, 50 people, a laugh can last like 20, 30 seconds. So you factor in all that time, it really eats into the material. Of course, you end up adding tags, and the energy is so good that you end up. I mean, for example, I had no intention of doing. There was a joke I did about that my son Hunter had come up with about the way in which in the Maritimes we constantly refer to these roads which before the highways were there as the old road. It's the old road. Like people, and it's like those roads have a name. Why don't you use the name? It's like you're supposed to get to Hampton. You want to take the old roads to Hampton. You want to take the old road. How are we going to get to Sussex? I'm going to take the old road. Let's take the old road. How are we going to get to the Grand Bay today? Let's take the old road, right? And me and Hunter were always laughing about this, and he said, you should do a bit on it. Like these roads all have names; they're all named roads. Why on earth does everyone just go? It's the old road. Let's take the old road. There's like 50,000 of these old roads. I mean, conversely, there's also, I think, in Miramichi, there's a highway that everyone calls the new highway. The new highway. Should we take the new highway? It's been there 25 years. It's not the new highway anymore. Anyway, Hunter was saying to me, like, you should do this, and it's all his idea. And the gig was going so well. I don't know why. And he was at the show with his father-in-law Barry, and my father-in-law Barry, his papa, his grandfather, who they obviously star in the film The Peninsula together. More info, by the way, on screenings of that coming up soon. And I don't know what it was. I know what it was. I was talking about, I dusted off the directions routine, which has loads of new aspects to it about what's happened since I started doing that. Anyway, it was landing so big. I don't know what it was. I didn't really think about it. It just started coming out of my mouth, the old road routine. It absolutely killed. It was arguably one of the biggest laughs of the night. So I had to just say to the audience, just heads up, that's the first time that's ever been performed on a stage, but also my son Hunter, who is sat there right now in this audience, wrote that joke, conceived it, all the beats, all the punchlines, all his, and it was just magical. I mean, I hope it felt good for him hearing 850 people laugh their backsides off at a thing that he created. Anyway, I'm gonna go meet Ethan. So thanks to everyone that, as I say, came out. Saturday, Ethan and I will be going over, looking back at how we pulled it all together. So I will. Well, I guess you're going to hear me in about 5 seconds, but to me, it's going to be in like an hour. Anyway, you get the gist. It's madness. It's so funny. When we came up with the name Mullinger's Weekly Ramble, I don't think we realised quite how much of a gang dang ramble it would be. But holy smokes, is it a load of rambling bollocks. Bish bash bosh, sweet as a nut, lovely jubbly. See you in 2 seconds. Bye.
Mullinger's Weekly Ramble.
Hi everyone, I am here at beautiful Garden Grove Cafe with my dear, beautiful friend and your beautiful friend, Mr. Ethan Ash.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. This is our, I guess, twice yearly end of a show run get together when sadly you're flying back to England. I'm sad, you're sad, the whole of New Brunswick's sad that you're leaving, but we're all optimistic and happy that you're coming back this summer for multiple shows at Yip Cider. But how do you feel, my friend? And it's nice that we've got our friends who are listening right now, joining us for our final get together.
This is our little thing, isn't it?
It is, we do it. And we always do it at Garden Grove because we love it here. And so that's why you can hear there's a bit of echo maybe, and you can hear plates and coffee being made in the background. But Garden Grove Cafe is our special spot.
It's we have a little smoothies, don't we? We have a little latte, coffee, they all had a chicken and brie sandwich a couple of days.
You had a chicken and beef sandwich. I had the curry chicken wrap, and on Sunday I had the donair, which you don't like donair.
I don't. No, I don't.
No, I mean that's just the one thing that you need to fix before becoming a full-fledged New Brunswick.
I mean, I say I don't like them. I'm quite rigid with food, and not in a I need to be healthy way.
Yeah,
but it's the problems, you know. Well, it has to be the same thing.
You have to be the same thing all the time.
Most of the time.
Do you like the British doner kebab?
No.
Oh, you know them. See,
I don't like them.
Yeah,
but I've actually not really tried them.
Right. Oh, I see. Okay, but I mean they are minging and they're poison. If it isn't, you don't know. British doner is a doner kebab is essentially it's like an elephant's leg of meat that's not meat, and it gets covered. And I remember once I used to always get sick whenever I ate it from my local kebab shop in South London. But it didn't stop me every Friday, Saturday night, hammered, go in there, get one. And then one morning I was up early and I saw them pull out the elephant's leg of meat out of the back of the van. And no wrapping on it, and they dragged it along the floor. And I was thinking, holy shit, better not go there for a couple of days until they've got.
It's just Friday, Saturday night, you see everyone in takeout spots. It's like 2 a.m, 3 a.m, everyone's drunk, and you just see this greasy, sweaty leg rotating. And they go and shave it.
So they shave it off, and it's not meat, it's rats. Dick. I mean, it's
very specific.
Yeah. That's I found one in one of my kebabs. But the donair is, of course, the Canadian version that I believe was created by someone came here. There's some story. Google it. This isn't a fact-based podcast. It's a ramble. Google the invention of the donair.
The history of donair.
But what's weird is the one here at Garden Grove, I should point out, is a healthy donair. It is. And it genuinely is in that the meat is handmade by amazing Jessica Newhouse, one of the owners. And then the donair sauce, which is, of course, famously sweet, which is why Brits really struggled with it. Why is there a sweet sauce being put onto a savory, meaty dish? But the sauce is actually Brittany Kitchen's amazing late mum's recipe. And it's a delish. So anyway, if you like donairs, come to Garden Grove. If you don't like donairs, try one at Garden Grove. It's our favorite place. So let's move on. Ethan, it's called a ramble. It's a bloody ramble. You want rambling? Stick about.
Here we are.
We are. So Ethan, you obviously very kindly came over from multiple shows. You had 2 sold out shows at Long Bay. And I know, we both adore performing at Long Bay. We love Tim and John there. Last night, Monday night, we had a plan to go out to have some drinks to celebrate, didn't we? And we went to Long Bay, not realizing it was closed. And we ended up at Valley Sands with our buddy Ryan.
Yes, we did.
And at Valley Sands is the classic New Brunswick thing of it, that from the outside you would not even know it's there.
No, I've been here multiple times, as you know, and I had no idea that place existed.
Right, and we go down the back and I show you the entrance, and you're like, this looks proper shady, and we go in and it's absolutely gorgeous inside. And I'm like, and the paint's nice, and as you just pointed out, the bathroom's just beautiful.
The bathroom's gorgeous.
It was, and I was like, oh my goodness, has this been like just renovated? And she was like, oh, well, in 2019.
Yeah.
And we were like, in England, if you renovated a bar, it would be destroyed in a week.
It would have lots of phone numbers written on the wall.
Yes, blood. It'd be like, and then if you like getting your something start, call this number, and then I would be writing your number.
I would write your number.
Well, good.
Yeah, I would.
Everyone's a winner then. There'd be blood, there'd be bodily fluids, there'd be all sorts all over the walls. But my question for you is this: so you've very kind of got the shows plus the big Imperial Theatre show, which has become a tradition. The last Saturday in April, 6 years ago, we did Harbour Station together. On that very day, now 3 years running, we've done the Imperial. And every year we like to up the ante. 2 years ago, for the show, then you very kindly crafted the New Brunswick song, which we unveiled that night. Electric moment. COVID just ended. That show was multiple times postponed, but literally been postponed for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And then boom, it happens. It was an incredible experience. 2 years or 3 years. And then, of course, last night, on Saturday night, the big reveal was that we had Rachel Kidd turn the New Brunswick into sheet music, and a 64-piece orchestra played your song. Firstly, how did that feel on the night? Secondly, what was it like? Because obviously you got here a couple of weeks ago. We've been in rehearsals every night.
Yes.
What did it feel like hearing your song played by a 64-piece orchestra?
I'll be honest, it's bizarre. It's bizarre because you don't, you write a song and you don't expect suddenly, maybe I should expect it with you, but most people you wouldn't expect to suddenly go, well, do you know what I've done? I've got a 64-piece youth orchestra. I've asked someone to score out the new Brunswick song and we're going to do it on stage and we're going to rehearse it a few times.
When I first mentioned it, did you think this ain't going to happen? This is bullshit.
With most people, I'd be like, no, okay, sure. With you, I'm like, oh no, this is actually going to happen. This is going to happen. And I don't know how it's going to happen, but there's going to be something happen.
That's very nice. Well, it was funny yesterday when we were in Garden Grove and you said, well, what are you going to do next year to top it? And then you said as a joke, like trapeze.
Yeah.
I then sat here for the next hour thinking, yeah, trapeze.
When I said trapeze, you saw this kind of like reflective look on your face and you went, oh, actually. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh, no. Why did I say this?
Well, we are going to come back next week. We are speaking to the Imperial this week, everyone, with dates for next year. And we are already planning. Well, let's not say there's going to be a big finale because that'll spoil any surprise.
There'll be nothing, but that will be the surprise.
How? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing.
Yeah, I'll be telling jokes. You'll be doing songs.
There we go.
Sorted.
What could go?
Tickets on sale now.
I mean, that will the tickets. Well, the difference is you are actually funny. I cannot sing. Even though I've been here a while and it's taken some time to realise things don't translate the same. I've sung this song 20 times and I still can't come in at the right bloody time. I've got a conductor. This is how bad I am, everyone. We had a professional conductor, Cesar Suarez, is there, total legend. He is giving me the signal when it's time to start singing. Ethan is giving me the signal of time I'm supposed to start singing. We have rehearsed it 50 times. I've heard the song a billion times. I still fucked it up. How is that? How's that even possible?
You just go rogue.
I go totally rogue.
I'm counting and I'm looking at you already and I'm like, and as soon as I go, about to go, no, you've already started.
Right.
I was like, oh, okay. All right, there we go. Off we go.
Yeah. And I looked over at both of your faces and you're both like, we were just about to give you the signal. Why have you started? And even the audience, I can see looking, because the audience all knows the song just as well as we do. So even I was looking out and seeing like my friend Caitlin Dean's looking at me going, why have you come in early? Like, why have you? And I don't know. I just got too excited. And again, and then of course when I realised, and it is that terrible thing when I start, it's not singing, it's not. I loved it when in the rehearsals with the theatre, with the orchestra, they kept referring to it as rapping. And I was thinking, oh, I'm actually, I'm rapping. Yeah, classified, watch out, mate. There's, watch out, because seriously, it must have felt good, did it?
It was amazing. Like, it's strange, kind of, you don't realize, like, it's kind of like a subtle bucket list thing. Like, at no point did I think, yes, I'll be playing with an orchestra.
Right.
And then you end up playing with an orchestra and you realize, actually, that's really quite cool.
Right.
And then it starts. I'm like, oh, well, what track could I have an orchestra on? What could you do as a recording? Now I've kind of got delusions of grandeur, really.
Oh, well, actually, it's giving me an idea, which I will not put on the pod. But yes, it's a very good point. It's interesting. Well, of course, it's just obvious thing is imagine how great breakfast would sound with, and that's the thing. It's like you said, it's one of those things that you don't think about. And I mean, to be fair, the idea did stem from, I had done a similar thing a few years ago, and it was Marshall Button's idea. And I did it with the Tutumisaka people which I think was the Brunswick Symphony Orchestra. I can't remember, but it was in Moncton at the Hubcap Comedy Festival. So it was them so I'd done the concept before with the I'm in New Brunswick at Joe. But again, I just love this idea of a reveal. And then of course getting to, but yeah, it's something you don't think about. But a huge thing, and I think I may have mentioned this in the podcast before, but because comedy is not recognized as an art form in Canada, and not at all within the arts community in New Brunswick. For the most part, there is no respect given to stand-up as an art form. I like to constantly prove that wrong by combining, in the past I've combined opera with stand-up and ballet with stand-up. And in this case, it's like, well, here we go. Here is how, the traditionalists will say, well, that's art because that's an orchestra.
Yeah.
Well, here's how you can put, an amazing singer-songwriter with an orchestra, with a stand-up comedian, and the three things gel magically and beautifully together and create not just a piece of art, but a piece of performance art, but also it was an event. It was it was a high concept thing. And I challenge, I guess it's that thing of there's so much entertainment out there.
Yeah.
They're like, how do you compete with the new Marvel movie when you put up something?
It's just so much noise, isn't it?
Yeah.
And a thing that I really have to kind of name in the fact is those, kids of varying ages, they are incredibly good.
Unbelievable.
I mean, even sitting in the rehearsal, I'm kind of thinking, it was trying to like tune and things like that, and there was one lad, I can't remember his name, I'm sorry, but it was he's like, oh, this is 440 frequency.
Yes.
So I'm like, what?
Yes.
What? I'm just going by A, mate, which apparently is the same thing.
I think I have his name, and I must say, it was incredible. I mean, all of them. It is. I mean, all 64. I mean, this is what was so intimidating, or just so remarkable, is that we're going to these rehearsals, and if anyone out there listening, first of all, follow the Saint John Youth Orchestra. Go to a show. Support them any way you can. But it's not even supporting. They will support all of us, but with just world-class entertainment. If you can go to a show, you will be blown away. If you would like your child to learn an instrument, look at this program. If I could not believe that I'm walking into a room of 64 children of ages, I don't know the ages, but I'm guessing
quite wide,
10 and 15,
maybe even a bit older.
Between 10 and maybe 16. They all doing exactly what they're told. All absolutely nailing it. Both just skilled, professional. They are way more professional than most of the people that I work with on a daily basis in various creative fields.
What was like?
They were all about getting it done.
Yeah, it was like I have videos of our rehearsals.
Yeah.
Like when we did Kira and things like that, sometimes I'll set up a camera and it's just watching us like fart around.
Yes.
And then going into those rehearsals with those kids.
Yeah.
And it's kind of going, oh, I'm an adult. I'm quite a lot older than you. And I need to be more. I need to be as professional as you.
Exactly. I need to be. Yeah, we are walking as well as basically. I need to be professional, like this 12-year-old.
Incredible.
So this particular person who was absolutely amazing. His name's Skylar. Skylar Brigley Byers. What a joy to work with, share a stage with. He's a violinist. The stuff that he knew.
Yeah.
I mean, it completely went over my head, and just all of them just exuded such a professionalism. And again, I mean, you and I have both done talks and stuff in schools for kids, and often kids, because then they don't realize that the body language they're giving off. So quite often I'll do a presentation at school, and kids, they kind of, they're yawning or they look a bit, distant. Or these kids were so focused.
Yeah,
and I mean, I guess the proof's in the pudding. Absolutely nailed the performance. Also, I'm on stage performing a meter away from 64 children walking onto a stage carrying massive things that are designed to make noise.
Bass, cello, violin, everything.
And there was, I could hear movement, but I knew the audience couldn't hear a thing. That is, anyway, I guess my point is, go to a Saint John Youth Orchestra show.
Yeah.
Follow them on all social channels. And if anyone is listening who is involved, especially obviously massive shout out to everyone that works there. John and Cesar, what an absolute joy working with both of you, world-class legends. But if you are a parent of one of those children that kindly share the stage with us, your child is amazing.
Yeah.
And you should be so proud of them. And it's like I say, it was all of them. It wasn't like there was, a couple of kids mucking about. No, I didn't see anyone being remotely silly or not. So I guess the other thing is, if you're a parent out there that's looking at your child needs some focus and drive, I can think of two, Hunter and River, who, what an amazing, anyway,
Ritalin or a violin?
Yes, Ritalin or a violin. There you go. Oh my God, it's so funny. Every week we really struggle to come up with a title for the show. Ritalin or a violin. That is it. Oh my goodness. Oh my God, Ritalin or a violin. Okay, that is a catchy name. So I'm going to go through some of the questions that people kindly sent. Our dear friend Shelby Lowry has sent a question. I would like to know if Ethan would buy me breakfast, particularly in the morning, and if he knew some good place around the corner. I'm assuming anyone that listening to this podcast knows the song Breakfast by Ethan Ash. If you do, you will know that's a hilarious joke. If you don't know the song, go and listen to it right now. Your song Breakfast, let's talk about that for a minute. Well, let's answer that question. Will you buy Shelby breakfast?
Why not?
In the morning?
Why not? It depends when in the morning.
And do you know of a good place around the corner? Well, I guess we're in the place.
We're in a place. It's going to be the Garden Grove or the Big Stop.
But yeah, going to the Big Stop. Okay, so given that I believe that the Irving business is doing pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Garden Grove as the recommended sponsor. So there we go. It's official. New Brunswick's favorite hit song of all time, Breakfast, the official place of the good place around the corner where Ethan Ash will buy people breakfast, or people. Garden Grove is the official branded Garden Grove. Garden Grove is the officially branded breakfast. Breakfast.
Yes.
Are you willing to talk on air about the genesis of that song and the true story behind it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So that song is one of my favorite songs ever by anyone, and I've told this a million times, so I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I know it's Shelby's. I know it's. I mean, everyone. Anyone who's heard it adores it. When you sing it, the crowd goes wild. It is your Brunswick's favorite song. It is. I truly believe it. I'm not blowing smoke up your bottom.
Thank you.
And anymore, yeah. I've run out of cigarettes. I went through them all yesterday, blowing smoke. It's Aiden's fetish. He demands to blow smoke up. It is. I mean, it's one of those. It's a truly perfect song, and it's one of my favorite songs of all time ever. How did you come up with the idea? Is it about anyone in particular? And tell me.
I wrote it in 2016, and it was just before. It was the first time I was coming to Canada to kind of do a tour in that sense. You know, I'd been here a couple of times, and in the season that people don't like to talk about when it's not that season because of the W. Did some house shows. CBC had kind of picked up on another song, so it's kind of we'll just go a little tour. It was a month, and then just before I came to Canada in the September, I wrote Breakfast, and it was effectively I wasn't writing a lot, and I was kind of struggling to write, and then I had like my dad and a couple of people on my back about you need to write more. You need to write more. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right, but I'm going to be really defensive about it. I was in a house by myself, and I wrote it. And I'm not the type of writer that writes things in half an hour, but this like Breakfast was one of those songs that I did in about half an hour.
Wow.
And then refused to play it to anyone at home, and then came to Canada. And I think mainly it just kind of came from it wasn't really about anyone in particular. I was kind of trying to write a little bit more of a poppy, maybe slightly Americana country song. My wife loves that kind of stuff, and it was, I was just trying to really write a song that she might like for once.
Right. Well, what's nice about it the narrative of the song. So of course it's incredibly catchy, and that's the thing that we all love about it. But it's one of those songs that while I listen to it, I picture the whole story. That and I think we all dream of that kind of romantic, moment when we've just met someone and you have this kind of connection, and sometimes it doesn't go beyond a night, and sometimes it leads to a lifelong relationship. But you really, really picture it when you listen to the song. And then when did you first start seeing it kind of really land? And what does it feel like now when we play Yip Cider or the Imperial Theatre and you hear the whole audience singing every word? Or indeed, me and Tyler send you videos of us singing along to it in the car on a road trip.
When I first played it, I think that the first time someone came up and said, I like that song, it was again 2016, that little tour. I made absolutely zero money or anything like that. And I was playing it was about 3 people at Duncan's pub in Amherst. And it was a guy who'd come up from Maine, and he owned a bar, and he said, I really like that breakfast song. Is it recorded? I'd love for you to come to my bar and play. And, I couldn't because you need kind of different visa and things like that. And he was one of the first people that brought up that song. And then every time I played, someone came and mentioned this breakfast song. I remember going over, I used to be an open mic night over in AJ's on the west side. And I went and played that song, and a few people came and asked about this breakfast song. And I'm like, well, it's not recorded. I used to love that open mic night. And now, for some reason, wherever I'm playing, even if it's to like 4 people, or, like the other night, 1,000 people, there's someone that knows it, or there's someone that's listened to it, there's someone that looked it up. And it's really humbling. Like, I'll never get sick of it. And I always find it so strange, but it's such a nice feeling, even if you hear one person singing the lyrics. It's great. It's a great feeling.
Well, it's beautiful. And well, thank you for sharing your talents with the world, my friend. And like I say, I think lots of us, it's one of those songs that can make me cry in the best possible way. Caitlin Dean hilariously commented underneath Shelby's thing. She said, I can't believe I'm reading this before 3 a.m. And then Shelby replied, well, by then it would be too late to get good sleep. So again, if you know the song, you will realize these are hilarious jokes. David, Crystalie Dion has a question. First of all, for Ethan, which is a question everyone asks all the time, which is, I want to know when he's moving to Canada. Which again, I guess you get asked that a lot, but of course, the bottom line is you have, a life in England, obviously. Yeah. So right now you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I do. It's something that my wife and I have talked about a lot, and it's kind of one of those things in our long-term plans, I suppose, and going about it the right way and looking how we would do it. Things have got a little bit more complicated lately, but maybe in a longitudinal sense, it's still something that we would really much like to do, because we do both absolutely love it here. But yeah, it's I'm doing a lot of different things in the UK, and then I come here and play music, and it's kind of like having a double life. It's a bit strange, but I like both, really.
Beautiful, yeah. So that's it. That is the crucial thing. And things have to be at the right time. We thought about leaving London multiple times and went through different thoughts. It was like, do we move outside of London, so we're in the countryside, and commute into London? But given the hours we were working in London, that was just going to be, it actually create more problems than it was like to go to New York. You've got to work through stuff before you make a big. Krista also followed that up with that she's also looking forward to going into the mental health field. Any advice, she asks, other than don't? And I say that jokingly because, as we know, Ethan does incredible work back in the UK, supporting people with many mental issues. But having heard many of the stories that obviously could not be discussed publicly, you see a lot, let's say.
Yeah. So I do, when I say like having a double life, it happened kind of, around COVID. Obviously I couldn't tour, so I had to fall back on the kind of qualifications I have. And I've got a few degrees, but here we go. But I have a psychology degree and a master's degree in pediatric neuropsychology, and I work currently as an assistant psychologist, because in the UK you have to have a doctorate. And I work on a acute adult inpatient psychiatric ward, and I also kind of work in crisis. So yeah, you see a lot, you hear a lot, you experience a lot, some of which is really quite distressing, but some of it is it's really, you don't want people to be distressed, but it's really fun and it's really good, and it's really nice to work with people's kind of towards their recovery or have a little role in their life, I suppose.
Beautiful.
Looking to get into mental health, I mean, it is quite a long road. Like psychology, I can really only speak from a psychological perspective. I had to do my undergraduate degree, and then I've done my master's. And as I said, in the UK, you have to do a doctorate to be a qualified clinical psychologist. I don't know over here. I think there are some provinces that you can have a master's and be a psychologist, but I think probably most of them need a doctorate. So you're looking at quite a long time to qualify. Nursing, again, I think it's slightly less time than psychology, but equally it's not easier. It's just a bit different. You've got social work, you've got therapy. My advice would be kind of know what you want to do. I think that would be the best thing. What you know, with psychology, you're using models, you're using theory, you're using kind of evidence-based practice. My favorite stuff is neuropsychology, so I use a lot of neuropsychological understanding, kind of traumatic brain injuries and things like that. If that stuff's not really your bag, you know, then it's kind of looking at what else you might want to do, you know, whether it's counseling, social work, nursing, or even volunteering, and being able to find opportunities there. I've had to have a lot of clinical experience to be able to even start applying for doctorates, and also understand that, like I said, it is a long road, but it probably will also affect your mental health. And
it must do.
Yeah, and you know, people have lived experience, and people have you know, training when they are professionals in that sense, but understanding that there's a lot to it. There is a lot to it, and it's more than just you know, maybe giving someone advice. That's not kind of mental health work, I suppose. It's complicated, it's long, and it's tiring, and you work silly hours, and you probably won't make a lot of money. But the payoff is that you are in a really privileged position to work with people sometimes at the worst points of their lives, and be a very small part, hopefully, in their recovery. And it's a really great privilege to have that, actually.
That's beautiful, and a surprisingly informative and actually fact-based answer to a question for the first time ever on this podcast. So hats off to you for that, Ethan. And I should point out, Ethan is obviously back this summer, 4 shows at Yip, and he does do mental health keynote speaking, inspirational talks, schools, conferences, and that can also be combined with musical performances. So if anyone would like to hire Ethan this summer, please do get in touch. Here's a question for both of us from David Kirkpatrick. What is the biggest thing that New Brunswickers take for granted? Commute times, friendly neighbours, low crime. What keeps Ethan coming back? Which is an excellent question. What's the biggest thing New Brunswickers take for granted? I mean, I guess it would be all of those, although at the same time, I think people do appreciate... Actually, I know. Do you want to go first?
Yeah.
What's the number one thing that you find that people here take for granted?
The first thing that popped into my head was space.
Right.
Like the space. Right. It's you know, it
never being on top of people.
No, that's the one thing, that there is more open space. You know, you got access to these beautiful green spaces, and whereas where I live, they're currently building on every green space, and you're on top of people, and you're in tiny apartments. And I know context matters, and I know that there are places like that in Canada, but I think New Brunswick space, and I think the fact that it is such a beautiful part of the world, and for the majority, the people that live here are just really friendly people, and that they will go out of their way to make you feel welcome. And that is something that's possible. That's one of the reasons why I love coming back, because it's very welcoming. I feel very at home here. I feel very calm here, and I love that effectively.
That's, I mean, beautifully put. And I think that's absolutely it. It's that general feeling that people are, and again, this isn't to disparage everyone in the UK and to say that, but it's just generally there isn't a everyone doesn't want the best for you. There is the vibe that you base, and here you get the feeling all the time that people want the best for each other.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, that joke I used to have about, social distancing, I mean, and to your point about space, is that you are potentially rubbing up against hundreds of people a day, especially if you live in London. And in New Brunswick, you can go months, if not years, without making physical contact with another person. And as you say, the space, people, I mean, I think New Brunswick is now, thanks to two British boys banging on about it, do kind of realize, for me, and I think I've talked about this possibly on the podcast before, but it's just the amount of stuff I can get done in a day is just insane. Well, I mean, a perfect example being, yes, if you had an unlimited budget, I'm sure you could organize a symphony orchestra to perform on a stage with you. But the idea of trying to facilitate that and those rehearsals and getting all those people across London would just be impossible. But again, I mean, I think one of the biggest ones is this. When you type an address into a GPS here, the time is the time.
Yeah.
That's the time. You don't add 3 hours. In England, you add 3 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. I find there's more of a, again, I know it will be different in certain people's perspectives, but I find there's more of a community feel. There's kind of more pro-social behavior. People actually want to support you.
Yeah.
Whereas, that you do get in that. You do get that in the UK, but kind of relating to James's point, it feels like people here want to support you, want to help you, generally are happy for you, want the best for you. And, and I think that's reflected in the fact that so many people come to shows, so many people are really enjoy those. And even to do with with my mental health work, people have offered me jobs.
Right.
And obviously I can't take them right off the back. But it's just so nice so that people will go, oh, we value what you do and we want you to come here, and if we can help with anything.
Right.
And I've always found that really alien, but now I'm never not grateful for it. But it's a very humbling thing. It's a thing to really appreciate.
Oh, beautifully put. We have a question here. I have to do this hilariously, interestingly, from someone who Ethan and I have a very direct connection to, which is Suzette Francine McDonald. Suzette, yes, it was Ethan who first drew my attention to your beautiful post during COVID, which, of course, as you know, Suzette, formed the closing routine of my tour show of 2 years ago. Suzette beautifully came out. But it was Ethan who first drew, and it was on a Zoom call where he showed them your lovely posts that then formed that big finale of the show, and of course that which then led to our friendship, Suzette. So,
I mean, I remember showing you these, but I had horrible levels of cynicism because we were having so many cases in the UK.
Right, and her positivity.
I was like, oh, it's nice to be positive.
Yeah, I know, that's it. And that positivity, it helped a lot in New Brunswick. Because her question is simply, when am I performing in Bristol again or Woodstock? Well, I would say I'm definitely doing a show in Woodstock in summer sometime. It's a fundraiser for a hospital. So that date, there was a date and it got moved. I would also point out that the Dooryard Arts Festival, I'm doing something with them, which, and I'm sincerely hoping Dooryard Arts Festival will also be working with Mr. Ethan Ash soon. Dooryard Arts Festival in Woodstock is a joy. I don't know when I'll be in Bristol again. Obviously, I just did the big thing with Chris Hadfield there. I think they're bored of me now. Lovely Valerie, my dear friend Valerie has asked when I'm performing in Saint John East. Again, I don't know is the honest answer, but specifically Saint John East only. She doesn't want to go anywhere else but East. But her son, Andrew, who's a wonderful, wonderful man, just like his mum, I'll be seeing him in Vintage Pursuit, Stu Kincaid's awesome collector's shop in McAllister Mall. So how about this, Valerie? next time I pop in the shop and I see you, I'll tell you some jokes. Then you don't have to leave East and or come and see me and Ethan at Yip this summer. I have one more question for Ethan and I before. I'm going to give you some news now. I implore you to look up this story. There are cows on the loose. That's right. In the most beautiful, most maritime news story. This was on CTV Atlantic. There are cows on the loose in, I shit you not, a town in New Brunswick that I had not heard of called Hicksville, New Brunswick. The cows are on the loose and they're causing problems with the neighbors. And there's a bit of controversy because the neighbors don't want these cows turning up in their kitchens eating their porridge. And the farmer won't fix the fence. So look up this story. Hicksville, it literally is called Hicksville, New Brunswick. Cows on the loose in Hicksville.
Where the cows used to be.
Where the cows used to be. The cows used to be before the fence, but where the fence used to be. There we go. Where the fence used to be. Now the cows are on the loose. That's the only bit of news you're getting. This is a topical news-based podcast, and the only bit of news you're getting in a full hour is cows on the loose in Hicksville.
I feel like we need to make a little like kind of sound thing for you. So when there's news, it's like
There's where the fence used to be. There are cows on the loose in Hicksville. Farmer Giles is. I have a question. Another question either from Sean. Aside from, and I think this refers to something I was talking about before. Aside from poutine and homemade wine, what aspect of Canada doesn't live up to the hype? Which is the thing here that you feel? And I guess obviously we've established that you don't like donairs, but what else? What do Canadians think is good? And they're like, oh, you must do this, but actually you think is shite. Way to get cancelled.
I'll be honest. I was not more kind of thinking it was bad, but I was slightly confused the other day when I went bowling.
Yes, this is a perfect example. Right. So in England, anytime you go bowling, there's one type of bowling. Well, there's bowls, lawn bowls.
Yeah.
But if you go bowling, you get a bowling ball. You stick your fingers in it.
Yep.
It's like a first date. You stick your fingers. You stick your fingers in it, and it's a bowling ball.
It's down the alley.
What happens here?
Well, and I mean, for use of a better phrase, it's tiny balls. Tiny balls, and what do they call them? Candlesticks or something? Tiny little pins, and then it was like 3 goes, and then apparently to get the round done quicker, then you take another 3 goes. I wasn't prepared for that. I noticed the pins. I was like, they're very small. And all of a sudden I looked at the balls and they were very small as well, which, you're never necessarily prepared for tiny balls. No. No. And then to pick up a tiny ball and throw it up an alleyway without even getting your fingers in it.
Yes. It doesn't really make sense, but I mean, it is fun. And again, this is not disparaging one of our wonderful bowling alleys here in... But yes, that is definitely a confusing one because you kind of go in the first time and you're like, where are the bowling balls? And it's like because it kind of looks like it's like a child's version.
It honestly it confused the hell out of me, and it took me a while to get my head around it, and I'm still confused by it. And then my wife Georgia, she said, I don't know, maybe in the UK we'd call that Skittles. Yes,
is that what it is? I think maybe it's Skittles. So that's a perfect example.
And I got quite a history of where big balls bowling would be.
Right.
How that is very limited in New Brunswick, and it goes down into New England. But New York, that's when it comes back to big ball bowls.
I think I went to one in Camden, Maine, and it was stick your fingers in. But,
really? Bowling or?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. No. Sorry. I was back on first date. Yeah. No. Good point. Okay, so why do you think of this? I'm going to quickly just update everyone on the cows on the loose.
Do you want to think?
It wasn't Hick. Yes, do it. Breaking news on Mullinger's Weekly Ramble. The neighbours have been left very frustrated. And I must correct an earlier report where I referred to this as Hicksville. It's not, it's just Hicks. It's so basically one neighbour is very angry. They were walking their dog and they were chased by a cow. There's no fences. The fences are broken. When the school bus goes out, there's all the cows are holding up the school bus. 5% of all the calls they've received, they've had 77 calls about these cows on the loose. It's a big problem.
Why didn't they round it up to 80?
That's a good point. I guess because facts are facts.
True.
Facts. Hashtag facts matter. Facts matter. Hashtag facts matter. Cancel. Cancel Ethan Ash.
Do it.
So yes, what Canadian thing do you think deserves more celebration and recognition than it gets? James
James Mutton.
What thing? Or is everything already overhyped?
I'd have to have a think. I mean,
yeah.
I've never gone tubing.
Right.
I don't really understand that one either. What I don't understand is, do you get in your car? Yeah. Like, do you get a tube? Or like a rubber ring, effectively. That's what it is.
Rubber ring.
And you float down the river and you drink too much.
Yeah.
Then how do you get back? What happens?
That's a bloody good point.
Do you just keep going?
Well, I don't think many people survive.
Oh, okay.
So there's no one's ever come back.
Just a tube and a moose light floating on the top of the water.
That's it.
That's
a good question. Okay, well, there's something for us to research.
Yeah.
That, I think, is our time. Ethan, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for coming back to New Brunswick. I can't wait for summer. Those Yip Cider shows are... we were talking about this the other day in here, just about what a joy Hugh Mackay is to work with. Him and his whole family and all of the brothers, but also the whole family, just such a joy to work with them, and just what the absolute genius is for creating this incredible destination. This is the thing with that destination, is that it's so brilliantly built, set up, the infrastructure, and this sounds stupid, but the number of toilets, the food, the drink selection, the beautiful cider, of course, that they've made, their staff,
the dome.
They could, and then the dome, this world-class performing arts venue, which against all odds has the most incredible acoustics, the most gorgeous sound, which is obviously all thanks to also our amazing tech guy Jeff. Shout out to Jeff Banks, total legend. But we have people coming to those shows from all over the province.
Yeah, absolutely.
From Fredericton, St Andrews, and it's not easy. Let's face it, you've got to get a gang down ferry. We've got to get the ferries, and then the lineups are insane. It's like, I always pull up and I'm like, why are there 200 cars here? And it's like, because we're doing it again. Yeah. And but it's a joy. So yeah, you're looking forward to it.
Oh mate, it's the absolute highlight of my year, really, and highlight of my summer. It's this is the thing. For us, the shows are just an absolute dream.
Yeah.
But then it's such a great experience for people who come to those shows. Like just to experience it, and how it's landscaped, and the food, and the different drink, and it's kind of like this really immersive experience for people, and
it is.
We are this there.
Yeah. I mean, the bit that blows my mind is when I'm stood on the stage or sat watching you, and it's a room full of 200, 250 people, either laughing or singing, and they're in this gorgeous dome with just beautiful lights. Yeah. And then the side of the dome is open and I can see the water and boats and trees and the most gorgeous New Brunswick scenery. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
And it's, again, it's, to me, it's one of the best experiences I have all year as well. But it's a great, it's performing arts, but again, they won't, the powers that be won't let it be called performing arts because people are having fun. Okay.
Buy your tickets now. Yeah. Not performing arts.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Ethan Ash. Thanks to everyone that came out to the shows. I'm at Halifax Yuck Yucks this weekend, and there's still tickets for the Friday if anyone's interested. Keep listening. Send me emails, comedy@jasemanager.com if you've got any questions. Ethan will be back on here in a couple of months.
Yeah.
He's back in town. Love you, brother.
Guys, I love you too, mate.
Beautiful. Speak to you all soon. Thanks for listening to Manager's Weekly Ramble with special, very special, very, very special guest. She's special. Ethan Ash. Love you all. Bye.
Bye.
Mullinger's Weekly Ramble.